it's always about the script. It starts with the log line. It starts with like, oh, this is something I want to hear more about. And then as I'm like reading the script, I'm usually like looking for a new take on, or a new way of scaring the audience, a new way to not repeat myself and do something that's quite different. And as I was getting into the script was titled Motherland in the first place. I realized that the voice that Casey and Ryan, the writers, brought to the project was so unique, like the way there is like some poetry beyond the dialogue, beyond the description of the atmosphere, the fear, the daily life of those people. But also there were some mini themes that were kind of like unusual in the movie. Like, yes, this is a story that could remind A Quiet Place, that could remind Bird Box, but there is a psychological layer that in fact is, I think, much more interesting. It's really about, at the end of the day, two kids. One is believing everything that the mother is saying, and the other one is questioning. The family is the center of the movie. It's really the theme. It's how can a mother be the most protective and loving person, but in the same time could become like the most dangerous by holding her kids, her own children, prisoner, maybe to protect them, maybe because it's, we don't know. There is a lot of question being asked in the movie. Is it real or not real? And is she like protecting them, or is she like keeping them prisoner? And that kind of duality was, I think, the most interesting part of the dynamic in the movie. And I wanted to also see like different characters, because they are twins, but they're very different. They have different personality. And the fact that they start fighting is what is going to corrupt that house. That house, by opposition to usual horror movies where the house is like the haunted place, this one is safe. This one is this, kind of like unique sanctuary where they are protected as long as they stay in. The evil is outside, cannot get inside the house. As long as they stay connected to the rope, they are protected. But in fact, what we're going to realize is the fact that they start questioning everything. The house is getting more and more corrupted. And the evil is kind of coming from everywhere inside the place, which I think make it really scary, because that place is, of course, the family. After my first read, it was very clear, like the interpretation I had to from the movie. But then talking to producers, to the studio, to the actors, I realized that everyone has like a slight different interpretation of what the script was telling and what the story was telling. And I thought it was really interesting. And it reminded me that how like classical fairy tale from centuries ago that we're still telling our children, that we're still reading as we are growing up, are doing the same thing. They have multiple interpretation, but they are also here because they are here to kind of help us to understand, like a monster in a fairy tale become a way to accept or develop something that's like kind of hard to grasp, when you're a child. And somehow our movies, some at least, have this same kind of function today in a very dark and kind of like a bleak world that we're living in. They bring like a way to exercise your fear. They also bring like they go beyond just entertainment. It's just like a way to become like a psychological tool to confront our darkness, to confront who we are, and to understand a little bit more about the relationship. The reason why I wanted to make this movie is because I thought that the way sometimes you have to embrace the darkness of your parents, of your mother, to be able to cut the rope and move on, was something that felt very universal. Felt like not necessarily for a mother, but for a parent in general. As a child and as a parent myself, I had the same kind of questioning all the time. You know, am I protecting my son too much? Am I by doing that, like, giving him the fear that are like something that I don't want him to have? It's that questioning, and I feel that the movie, even that story, has like this reach that's way wider than the usual horror movie. So the evil, I mean, that's a big subject. The evil is many, many things and can be very patient. I have in my interpretation of evil as something that's very psychological and something that just comes from inside you. It's like the darkness that we carry. It's not something that absolutely exists in the real world. It's been a conversation during the whole process of this movie about, is the evil real or not? I think that the evil is real as long as you believe in it, and for me it's not like it's not real. It's really like about a mental illness. It's about like a generational trauma that you want to stop going from generation to generation. And I think that what made that movie so interesting to do, because we were kind of like going deep into psychological fear that's not the usual like blood and gory element. It's more, I think, a little more subtle, and maybe will stay with you longer after you watch the movie.